With Ben McKee, Brent Hubs, Volquest.com, going around the horn on this Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to everyone, and a happy Easter it was for the Tennessee baseball team. Minus their pitching coach, Frank Anderson, minus head coach Tony Vitello. Tennessee gets the series win as they manhandle Alabama on this Easter Sunday, 15-4. Ben, when you look at this game and when you look at where Tennessee is and what they got done today, you got to start on the mound and you got to start with Drew Beam. And he's been good for SEC play since it started. He was exactly what Tennessee needed today, wasn't he?
Yes, Drew Beam was terrific yet again, and not that it really matters, but hard not to view him as the front runner for SEC Pitcher of the Year and also SEC Freshman of the Year. And why I like to point that out is just because I think it encompasses the terrific job that he's done all season. 5 SEC starts now, and all 5 SEC starts have been quality starts, which a quality start is when a starting pitcher goes 6 innings and allows 3 earned runs or fewer, and really speaks to a pitcher's success. And you saw that yet again today. He did give up 3 solo home runs, but 3 solo home runs on 4 hits, that's going to play when your offense puts up 15 runs. And 2 of those home runs I thought was aided by the wind. The first one in the first inning was a pop up the right field, and the wind just carried it into Tennessee's short bullpen. So some unfortunate luck there, but he really battled back, didn't walk anybody, which is the Drew Beam special, and then struck out a career-high 10. So aside from the solo home runs, he was terrific. And I loved his comment after the game, and Josh Elander said the same thing, that Frank Anderson says all the time, that solo home runs won't hurt you, and you certainly saw that today.
Yeah, what gets you in trouble is when you walk 2 guys that didn't give up the solo home run, that becomes a 3-run home run. Tennessee's offense was really good. It was really good with 2 outs today. I thought Tennessee's patience at the plate was really good. And then they made critical hit after critical hit. When you look at this Tennessee offense, lots will be said about Trey Lipscomb, obviously, and everything that he got done. What stood out to you about this team at the plate today? They got them 15 runs on 15 hits.
Jarrell Ortega's who I want to talk about, Brent. Everybody's going to talk about Jordan Beck. He had an awesome weekend against his home state team, being a Hazel Green, Alabama native. Hit another long home run today. You mentioned Trey Lipscomb. Trey was tremendous. Yet again, had a 2-run home or a 2 home run game today. But Jarrell Ortega, again, is who I want to talk about, because Jarrell Ortega, he suffered a pretty serious arm injury right before he got to Tennessee and had to miss his first season on campus, his true freshman season. He redshirted as he had Tommy John. He tore his UCLA in a tournament before he got to Tennessee, and comes back last year as Tennessee's best hitter in the fall, and then just kind of got stuck behind Max Ferguson, Liam Spence, and Jake Rucker. Finally gets an opportunity this season. Starts out a little bit slow. He had some success early on, but not the success that he's starting to put together over the last week or so, especially this weekend. He was terrific. I don't know his exact numbers for the weekend, but today in the finale, he was 5, hit a big 3-run home run, and his 3-run run came when it was a run. So had early RBI in the second inning as Tennessee took the lead. He was terrific. He's been terrific defensively the last couple of games as well after some early season errors. So that's what really stood out to me in terms of individual success. But in terms of the team success, Brent, it was the 2-out hitting. 15 runs on the day, and 10 of them were with 2 outs. And really, most of Tennessee's success was with 2 outs, because you score 4 there in the 9th inning when the game is over. But the 11 runs prior to the 8th inning, I should say, the bottom of the 8th inning, when Tennessee really put the game away, prior to that 8th inning when the game was pretty much over with, they had scored 10 runs with 2 outs on 11 of their runs. And that was over the course of the game as they were creating their big league. So Trey Lipscomb, Jordan Beck, we've seen that all year, but shouts out to Jarrell Ortega. And then the 2-out hitting was tremendous. You didn't see that on Tuesday against Tennessee Tech in the loss, and you certainly saw it today as Tennessee picked up a big series win over a top 25 Alabama team.
When you look at getting this series win, what does it mean? We all know that Tennessee was going to lose conference games, okay? So Friday night was disappointing, but you knew that was going to happen. But to go through everything that this team went through yesterday with all the drama and everything that took place there, what does it say about this team that they put all of that behind them, found a way to get the win on Saturday, but then came back today and really dominated Alabama, who, as you mentioned last night, I think, in Around the Horn, maybe the best team Tennessee's played in conference to this point in the season.
Yeah, I think it's massive for all of those reasons. I think that this is the most impressive weekend of Tennessee baseball to this point, which is pretty impressive given that they went on the road and swept Ole Miss. They went on the road and they swept Vanderbilt. They went out to Houston, and although they lost to Texas, they bounced back with wins against Baylor and Oklahoma on Saturday and Sunday. This weekend is the most impressive and the biggest statement Tennessee has made, in my opinion. They lose on Friday night to a really good Alabama team, an Alabama team that I think is the best opponent that Tennessee has played this season. This weekend confirmed that for me. Not only did they lose the opener against the best team that I think that they've played, but they come back and they outscore them 24-6 over the final 2 days, and they outscore them 24-6 over the final 2 days in the process of Tony Vitello and Frank Anderson being ejected in the first inning of Saturday's game. So you go all 8 innings on Saturday, pretty much the whole game without those two, and then they're suspended for Sunday's game. And you outscore a top 25 baseball team 24-6. Just remarkable. You also had to overcome the Chase Dolander situation. He takes a line drive off the arm. His future for the rest of the season is up in the air. And it was like it didn't even matter, those circumstances. They just came out and they completely dominated Alabama for the rest of Saturday's game and then throughout today's game. The entire lineup, 1 through 9, did damage. The pitchers today, led by Drew Beam, was terrific. Ben Joyce came in and got some big outs. The bullpen at the end of Saturday's game after Camden Sewell pitched was big. Just, to me, most impressive weekend of Tennessee baseball to this point.
All right, let's talk about things moving forward here. We know Tony Vitello's suspension. We know how long that's going to be. He can't be back until Sunday at Florida, providing there's no postponement. Frank Anderson is back immediately and ready to go. What do you know on Chase Dolander, and what do you think Tennessee's weekend rotation moving forward is going to look like if Chase can't be back anytime soon?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if Chase is back next weekend, and they're still waiting to see what the rest of this season as a whole will look like. He's got quite a bit of swelling in his pitching elbow, which is where he took the line drive. And again, they just need that swelling to go down before they can really establish exactly what the injury is and what the process is going to be going forward. It could be a potential hairline fracture. It could be a deep bone bruise. They just really don't know right now because the swelling is so significant. So we'll keep an eye on that over the next 24 to 48 hours. But looking forward with the staff, I wouldn't be surprised to see Blake Tidwell in the rotation next weekend. Even before Dolly's injury on Saturday, it had already kind of looked like there was some thought to Tidwell once Tennessee gets into the Thursday, Friday, Saturday weekend, sliding Tidwell in, especially given Burns' struggles here the last 2 Fridays. Tony had some comments surrounding that possible option after Friday's game. I'll write on that in the 3-2-1 on Monday. But even now with Dollander going down to injury, and even if he's not lost for the season or lost for an extended period of time, again, I would be very surprised if he's able to pitch next weekend. I don't believe that he can really extend his arm even the couple of hours after getting hurt yesterday. So Tidwell, thankfully for Tennessee, it does work out on Tidwell recovering and coming back and throwing to the point that he is now to where he should be able to be stretched out over a couple of innings. I believe that if the correct opportunity had presented itself, that Tidwell would have been unleashed a little bit this weekend. The opportunity just did not present itself. So I think the timing does match up, fortunately for Tennessee, that Blade has had some pitches and some innings under his belt by the time this injury comes up to Dollander. And you would think that he would slide into the rotation in place of him if he cannot pitch next weekend. If not Tidwell, then maybe Camden Sewell, but looks like he's dealing with a bone bruise in his foot, so don't know that he would be available next weekend either. Sounds like a Jared Dickey situation, and Dickey 2-3 weeks later is just now getting back to where he was before he had his bone bruise. So maybe it's by committee, but you would have to think that right now it would be Blake Tidwell that gets the nod if Dolander can't go next Saturday at Florida.
You think there's any consideration to shuffling what days with Burns' struggles the last 2 Friday nights? Do they bump him back further in the weekend? Would you mess with Drew Beam, who's been great on Sunday, to move him into the Friday role because he's gone so deep in lineups in SEC play? Tidwell go to Friday because of the experience he has? or do you think you just don't mess with kind of where you are right now with how comfortable those guys seem to be in that Friday Sunday situation?
I think it's certainly possible, certainly an option. I don't know that I would mess with Beam, although he seems like the type of kid that it wouldn't matter if you threw him on Wednesday or Tuesday of the following week, that he's just going to be good whenever you throw him. But I think it wouldn't be the worst decision to maybe bump Burns a day back until Saturday. I do think there's some serious concern, maybe not serious, maybe I'm overemphasizing, but I do think there is at least a little bit of concern with Burns going forward. Not talking about injury, but just talking about performance, because his fastball velocity has been down his last two starts. It was noticeably down on Friday night against Alabama. And then he's also struggling to locate a third pitch. And now hitters, they're laying off the slider and they're just sitting fastball. And I think that's why he's run into some struggles here of late. So I don't think it would be the worst thing to slide him to a Saturday and let Tidwell start on a Friday, give him an extra day's rest. So I think that would be the better option to go with rather than moving Beam to Friday. Maybe you do move Beam to Friday and then put Burns on Sunday. That would give him 2 extra days rest. But the point that I'm trying to make is I think that you would mess with Burns well before you would mess with Beam.
Well, there's nothing to mess with on this Sunday afternoon because Tennessee was dominant against Alabama in a 15-5 win over the Crimson Tide to win the baseball series. We'll have full coverage of everything coming up throughout the evening. Of course, the 3-2-1 tomorrow. Tennessee gets ready to take on Florida this weekend. Lots of decisions for Donnie Vitello and Frank Anderson to shuffle things as they learn more about Chase Dolander's injury. But again, the story today is Tennessee took care of business and they beat the Crimson Tide and win another SEC series and keep themselves locked into first place overall in the SEC. That's going to do it for this edition of Around the Horn. He's Ben McKee. I'm Brent Hubbs, Volquest.com. Happy Easter, everybody.